Hello again, everybody. This is the final Cozy Player Home mod that I plan to do. I've decided to do it at Murkwater because my theme for most of these has been to set up a player home, kind of just a little cozy small player home settlement for staging areas and stuff as I play through the game, just for the player and the companion. And what I've done is I've taken Murkwater, cleaned it up, removed the construction debris, removed the construction equipment, and turned it into more of just like a little cabin and campsite kind of thing. I cleaned up some of the grass around here. I dropped in a copy of the cabin that's available. I think it's what's the author's name? Thoreau's cabin, I think, is what it was. But it looked like a really nice cozy cabin. So I dropped it in. It's the perfect size for just a little campsite kind of thing. I added a fireplace and a working fire. This has a toggle on it that is a player interactable trigger as opposed to a wall switch. The other houses that were built new, it seemed to make sense. You know, they're powered, they're modern, they're like restoring civilization. They have a fancy push button gas powered fireplace, or however you want to view it, but this one I wanted to make kind of more basic, more like a campsite, because it is just out here in the middle of the woods and it's to the south side of the map where things are a little rougher, so it seemed to make sense to keep it simple. I've moved the workbench, which I don't know if it's coming over in the video, but this is the typical shimmer that happens when you first move the workbench. You can do the same thing to fix that as you would if the workbench doesn't move in the first place. The script sometimes won't fire properly if you've already discovered the area. So you just, to fix this, you open the console, you click on the workshop so that you can see that it's highlighted, and you just say disable and enable. And it just disappears and reappears, and now the shimmering's gone. And if it's not moved into the right location, doing that forces it to move it to the correct location. But as you can see, it's pretty clean. I've already dispatched the Mirelurk Queen. She will spawn just a little bit further away, but still close enough to where she'll wander over here and will attack you. So when you come to this location, you will need to get rid of her first. But then you'll be ready to build. And I'm going to pause the game and import the template. Before I do, I know there's a bunch of people who are going to be asking, what's the grass mod and tree mod you're using? Because it really does completely transform the swamp. This looks way nicer and way more overgrown than vanilla. The grass is true grass. I've cleaned it up and fixed some of the sizing so that it doesn't grow through concrete. You can go to Flect's mod page on the Nexus to see his versions of grass fixes that do away with that as well, so you don't have them growing through concrete in buildings and structures. And the tree mod is just simply called A Forest. I believe it's still available on the Nexus. I've heard one or two times where it might have been taken down because someone claimed that there were assets used, but as far as I know, it uses all vanilla trees. So I don't understand if that claim is true or not. All I will say is it is my favorite tree mod. A good alternative, if you can't find A Forest, is Boston Natural Surroundings has a pine trees version. That actually works pretty good with vanilla grass. Because if you've ever seen a pine forest, everything's kind of brown and dead, because pine needles are acidic and they tend to kill grass. So you could use that, or you could use this for your green mods, but that's what currently you'll see in this video as I'm demonstrating the site. So, I'm going to pause the game here, I'm going to import the template, and then I'm going to show you what I built and how a few of the features work. Alright, see you in a few minutes. Okay, the template's imported. And Curie is already sandboxing, which is great. Something odd that I'm seeing that you shouldn't see is some of the idle markers are showing up. Pretty sure if you exit the game and come back in, they'll disappear. But they're supposed to disappear when you come out of build mode. So I'm just going to do this real quick and see if I can toggle it. Yeah, there they go. Okay. Just a little minor glitch with that. I guess sometimes the game doesn't pick up that they need to go away. But there are lots of idle markers. As you can see, plenty of them. I've got like men's warming marker in here by the fireplace and eating food markers over by the cooking station. Stuff that makes sense. Anyway, it's a small settlement. It's only designed for like you and your companion and maybe one person that you could leave here as a guard or a settler. As I mentioned in my coastal cottage mod, I'm not sure if you lose a settlement if happiness drops to 0. I can't remember that, and I really don't want to bother to check out. But if you wanted to send one settler here, or maybe one of your recruited companions here, like maybe Longfellow from Far Harbor would feel at home here if you're into that immersive role-playing thing, this would be a good spot to send him, and he can, like, tend the crops and guard the settlement for you while you're away. Anyway, the welcome mat for fast travel is right here. There's a guard station up front. Just one water pump. We come around the side. This is the crafting station. Thank you for testing that idle marker, Curie. Lines up good on the wall. I blocked off the window because this is a leaning wall and I have the crafting here under a little cover. But this is Hose's Easy Home Builder, and Working Double Beds is a great mod because this is his compact crafting. Quickly became my favorite because you have all of your stuff right here. Cooking, weapons and armor, and a chem station. I also put an additional cooking station out here for whoever lives in the little fishing hut there. And dried fish and baskets, little decor. Around here is the workbench. You saw that earlier. This is Global Stash. That's under the Great Mod. That lets you consolidate resources between settlements. You can pull everything here if you want to do that for building. And again, a little minor decor out here on the outside. Because this is a campsite, there's no modern conveniences of like indoor plumbing and a bathroom and everything. We're kind of roughing it. This is out in the wilderness in the south end of the wasteland. So there's basic, just a basic sink, an outhouse. I didn't put the nasty toilet in there. I put kind of like a plumbed toilet, but that's about as fancy as I'm going to get here. Just a power pole for the power. Basic power just for like lighting, or if you decide you want to upgrade the turret on the front. I just put a Mark 7 machine gun turret is there. And if we come back here to the fishing hut, this is where a small power generator is. I scaled that down to fit on the platform. That's a great thing about transfer settlements. If you scale things up or down using the console to make them fit, it remembers them when it makes the JSON and it imports them to scale. So, pro tip there for you guys that like to use transfer settlements. This is the fishing hut and utilities. I kind of themed it out to be like Far Harbor, and I figure you could have either a settler here who's a fisherman, or you could send Longfellow here if you wanted to bring him to the Commonwealth, whatever works for you guys. The other nice thing is if you assign him, whoever the settler is, if you assign them to guard duty, that bed becomes a guard workstation. Because that's not a bed, that's a guard post. And he'll sandbox between that guard post, that guard chair, and the guard station around the front of the settlement near the cabin. There are 2 beds indoors, so there's still enough beds to count toward 1+1 settlement count besides the player. Of course, radio set to Diamond City radio, and kind of a little covered fishing deck, because if you have a house out by the water, why not have fishing? And if you look, there's no roof access, but because I'm sneaky, Curie was just testing the examine marker that's there. You can come over and a settler, and people that are sandboxing, they'll inspect the generator. But because the Mirelurk Queen and Mirelurks and Nasties may spawn out in the swamp, I put 2 rocket turrets out here just to make sure things are covered really well. The nice thing about A Forest and any BNS green mod is, let's say that tree's kind of in the way, and you see attacks coming from that direction. You can click on it and disable it, and that gets it out of the way. So, another pro tip for y'all using any tree mod that uses the Boston Natural Surroundings framework. You can do that to fix any tree problems. I've also seen a few that grow like through houses and structures and other things, so you can get rid of them pretty easily. Anyway, there's just enough power for these 2 turrets. I think they use 2 each. That generator does 5. There's 1 extra power left for like lights and stuff, but if you upgrade the turret on the front and need to run power to it, you'll also need to upgrade the generator. So remember that trick about scaling. You can scale the generator down and position it there if you need like the 10 power generator. That'll still fit there. But anyway, that's the Fisherman's Shack, which has guard workstations. Your guard/fisherman can live there. It has the basics for a campsite, and now we'll go indoors. Very, very basic indoors. Has enough storage for the player to put, you know, important stuff like legendaries or whatever. Has a radio. Coffee, because we have to have coffee. I forgot to put Ellie's coffee poster up. I'm going to add that later. But some decorations, some armor, storage for your companion, and a working fireplace. Now, in some of my other buildings, I put the button on the wall. They're modern and convenient, but this, you actually have to walk up and use a trigger, and it lights the fire. And it is a shadow casting light coming from the fire.
You
it glows
should
just
get
like...
an umbrella.
Thank you,
don't
Curie.
want to catch a cold, do you?
There goes Curie dialogue bombing my video. But you can see the shadow light being cast on the bed and on the floor from my character. And there is the nice orange glow that also fills the room. And there's a little bit of a light in the fireplace because a shadow casting light is not omnidirectional, it's unidirectional. It only shoots light out one direction. So there's actually 3 lights toggle on and off when you activate and deactivate the fire. But that was enough to give kind of a warm, campy kind of glow without being too much light and without having to use light boxes. I didn't need to really put a light box in here because the glow just isn't that bright. Curie's coming in probably to use one of the markers that are in here. But if I set the game hour to like 11 p.m., you can see the glow better, and you can see the shadow casting light better. And go outside, out in the fog, you can see that the glow really doesn't come out of the building. Tiny, tiny bit of it on that, which could be window glow. But other than that, I didn't need to use a light box because this really is not lit that brightly. And to me, that's perfect. That's a nice, warm, camping-style cabin in the woods for you and your companion, just to use this as a staging area in the south side of the map. So, oh, and also the smoke coming out of the chimney, of course, just like in Coastal Cottage. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once the idea came to me, this build went really, really quick. It's compact. It's not really, really huge. It has some conveniences and useful stuff. But there's not a whole lot of the story that takes place on the south end of the map. So I figured I just need something basic down here. And if you guys like that, I hope you enjoy the mod. And as always, may you shoot many super mutants in the face.